welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We resume our interview with Dr. Youssef Arouj, founder of the Mediterranean Youth Foundation for Development. Dr. Youssef, we were speaking about the climate change summit taking place in Nairobi. And my question is, with Africa having natural resources and the least continent responsible for the climate change problem, yet it has several challenges. Could you give us an idea about this, please?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you very well. Could you repeat the question again?
Okay, sir. Doctor, with Africa having natural resources and the least continent in the whole world responsible for damaging the climate, yet it is facing several challenges. What's your comment?
Actually, your question tackled many different topics. The first thing, let me remind you with the opening remarks of the President of Kenya, President William Ruto. He said that climate action is not a global north issue or even a global south issue. It's our collective challenge and it affects all of us. So what we need is to come together to find the common and the global solution. What you mentioned there, that Africa is very rich with its natural resources. At the same time, we are at the beginning of the door, or at the platform of the continent that's getting affected negatively by climate change. Even if we have these natural resources, but please let me remind you and remind those who are listening to us right now that we have in the African continent more than 500 million people who have no access to electricity. Here I don't talk about access to internet or access to education. I'm talking about access to electricity, which is almost basically a basic right. And here we can move to the agenda. The agenda actually of the climate summit is discussing different topics. One of these topics is climate adaptation. Why climate adaptation? Because the time of saying stop to climate change is over. We already met the trend. So what we need to do now, which is more realistic, is to focus on how we will adapt. What major adaptations we need to take in order to adapt to the climate change and its circumstances.
Yes, Dr. Youssef, how do you see the summit as a good opportunity or a platform for boosting the joint efforts and cooperation between the African countries to preserve the environment and face the challenges of the climate change?
Yeah, actually there are two answers for this question. The first is for sure the summit would serve as a platform that would provide an opportunity for African nations and African leaders to establish partnerships. You already know that we have around 54 countries participating in the summit. Also, we have international partners like the European Union, GIZ, UNFCCC, and other partners. So it's a platform for us as Africans to discuss together so we can formulate our vision ahead of the COP28, so we can go there and we have an agenda, what we really need to do, and how we will address or present our needs in a different way, because we already know what we need. In the last COP, developed countries committed to offer 100 billion euros or dollars for developing countries, but until now, we didn't see anything. So if we would repeat the same thing in the same way in the next COP, so logically the answer or the response would be the same, which is zero, nothing's going to happen. So it's very important for us to formulate our approach, our agenda, our request as a collective request representing the African continent, the African nation as a whole. Also, we shouldn't forget that in parallel with the African Climate Summit, there is African Climate Week happening at the same time, which is also a platform bringing together civil society, organizations, governments, policy makers, researchers, etc., which is, I would say, a technical platform where we can provide to the African Climate Summit coherent proposals about tangible actions that we can start to plan in the future and present it in the COP28 as well.
Yes, Doctor, also how do you see Egypt's efforts in the field of the climate change in light of Egypt that have organized the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh last year?
Yes, I would say that Egypt actually is taking very fast steps in this regard. Started when the Egyptian government adopted its national strategy for climate change, and then hosting or establishing the Egyptian Council for Climate Change. Also the efforts of the Ministry of Youth in terms of engaging young people in combating climate change, implementing and financing youth-led initiatives. One of these examples is the Mediterranean Initiative for Climate, MIC, that were organized by the Egyptian Ministry of Youth and the Mediterranean Youth Foundation with the support of the European Union. Also, there are some efforts from the Ministry of Environment. So, orienting and putting the climate change on the national agenda as a priority for different ministries based on their specialization. No, I would say that we are more aware now. The public opinion is more aware about the topic and the issue and its circumstances. But the late, I would say, is how we can finance and mobilize funding for green projects, green businesses. This is the most important thing, and here is the point that we need to focus our efforts in the next weeks and next year.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your valuable information. Dr. Youssef Arouj, founder of the Mediterranean Youth Foundation for Development. Thank you very much for joining us over the phone. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break and I'm going to be back with you.